Hi, my name is Tommy,
My name is Ngyeun.
and we are doing the gender perceptions of dating failures on Reddit. So we were curious to see if there were any kind of prejudices towards the opposite gender when it comes to dating issues, and if there was any behavior patterns that are noticeable and specific to one particular gender. As Reddit has become a forum for people to share their personal stories that do not always follow norms or expectations or conventions, we believe that Reddit is the perfect source for stories to test our participants and our hypothesis. So we had two research questions. One was, what were some of the perceptions found in the University of Ottawa's students on failed dating relationships? And two was whether the role of gender biases affected their perceptions.
As for our hypothesis, because Reddit is such a popular website, we do not have any assurance whether or not our participants have had any previous knowledge on it, and that would skew the research a little. So we have created two kinds of hypotheses. If, based on the knowledge that they have, if the participant has had previous knowledge of Reddit and of the topic, then they will more likely be able to guess the correct gender of the perpetrator and the person writing the story. And if they do not have a lot of previous experience, then they would more likely side with their gender more as the person who was being victimized and the other gender as the perpetrator.
For our methodology, we use a system of interviews, so 4 interviewees total with 4 Reddit stories. It was broken down into 2 males, 2 females, and our Reddit stories were also 2 males, 2 females when it came to Redditors and instigators. We sat down our interviewees, showed them the stories, and we actually also recorded their reactions, their body language, and we actually gave a slight interview afterwards, just asking general questions, actually open-ended questions about what they felt about the stories, and then how they kind of perceived who was the instigator and who was the Redditor.
So throughout our research, we've actually confirmed our hypothesis, but the surprising thing was it was only by a very small margin. Out of the 4 participants that we've interviewed, 2 of them got them completely right, and even the ones that didn't get them completely right scored a 3 out of 4 out of the stories we showed them, showing that they actually have fared just as well as the people who had the prior knowledge. It is actually very surprising that how little that a boost of knowledge actually helped in determining whether there was which gender each Redditor and instigator was. And that also follows up with what we've noted, which is that the kinds of gender perceptions that we thought would be a lot more prevalent throughout this research was not that present anymore. Like I said, we've moved past it, and participants have become a lot more open-minded than we thought. This is actually a very pleasant discovery, and I'm glad that we are moving forward on that. Why this is important, I would have to say that with the rise of the internet, more personal stories have started showing up. People have a voice now, and we tend to listen to these voices more, whether it's as a funny little story or something to empathize with. With Reddit being so prevalent now, a lot more behavioral patterns start showing up. It becomes a lot less of this is one gender's fault to this is just the fault of people being people. There are good people who come from backgrounds that bad behavioral patterns would come from, and vice versa. Your background no longer has to determine what kind of person you are. And I think the internet has just shown off this kind of openness that who we are aren't tied to how we grew up, what we identify as. And I find this so much more liberating. And you don't see research like that. And this is, I think, what we've come to, what our research is now grounded on, is that the internet has allowed us to become so much more open. We have become so much open because of that. And I hope that we keep making more of these kinds of pleasant discoveries.
So that concludes our research. Hopefully you found it enjoyable, and until next time.